See what is changing and staying the same at the state capitol that could impact agriculture. And there is money to be made in the cattle business, but producers should also remain cautious. And a cold snap taking hold of the state, but it isn't holding producers back from taking care of livestock. You're watching NTV's Grow. Thank you for joining us here tonight. Leadership positions are filling up at the state capitol, including those that have an impact on agriculture. State lawmakers are getting organized for the legislative session, and there's a new chairman for the Ag Committee. Senator Jerry Johnson of Wahoo grew up in Holdridge and takes on the position.
My experience, 42 years in agribusiness, especially in the field of agriculture, of course, it's prepared me well not only for understanding agribusiness, but working with people and building consensus and growing companies and growing agriculture.
Now, while there are many leadership changes, one seat staying the same is the director of the Department of Agriculture. The new governor, Pete Ricketts, reappointed Greg Ibaugh to the position.
Yes, I had a great experience working for Governor Heineman, but with the new governor comes new energy, new ideas, and I'm really excited about working with Pete Ricketts and hoping to help him accomplish some of his goals.
Well, he talked about strengthening agriculture. I'm sure you like to hear that.
And when he talks about building jobs across the state, he realizes that agriculture is an important part of that opportunity to build jobs in rural areas and areas outside Lincoln and Omaha.
No agreement has been reached yet on lawsuits over the discovery of genetically engineered Monsanto wheat in an Oregon field. The lawsuits from across the country have been consolidated in Kansas. A joint status report says the parties have been exchanging settlement offers and that the last offer from non-soft white wheat plaintiffs is under consideration by Monsanto Company. The filing says the parties will continue to discuss a resolution. There's money to be made raising cattle in the beef state. Prices are sky high, but so is the risk as ranchers increase the size of their herds. Grow co-host Steve White explains.
But calculate it out. Don't just do it because it's the thing to do.
With cattle prices soaring, the thing to do is increase herds and capitalize on record prices.
Make money while the sun shines, and the sun is shining on the beef markets right now, and I think the producers know that's an opportunity, and so people are looking at expanding their herds.
The drought of 2012 hit ranchers hard. Pastures dried up, forcing many to sell off cattle. Demand for beef remains strong, with supplies low. So as cattle producers listen to economics experts, they do want to take advantage of the situation, but they worry about paying top dollar for an animal today, not knowing what she'll be worth in a few years.
Try to figure out the balance. Does it make sense to try to expand? There's a lot of talk about that, but it's also difficult to expand when prices are this high.
And expenses, like land, are up.
The landowners find out that the beef producers are making more money. They're going to want, well, I own the land that the beef eat on. I should be probably having some of that, which is legitimate.
Economists tell cattle producers to pay their bills and expand carefully.
Enjoy it while it lasts, but don't be crazy with what you go out and do.
That's what Tim Loy plans to do, expand somewhat, not knowing what the cattle he raises today will be worth.
Historically, anytime there's been a big run-up in price, there's also a big correction that occurs pretty quickly. So you have to be a little bit cautious, I guess. Optimistic, but cautious optimism.
The U.S. isn't giving up its fight for mandatory labels on meat products, but economists say the labels aren't worth the cost. Recently, the World Trade Organization sided with Canada and Mexico, stating that the U.S.'s mandatory country of origin labels are not trade compliant. Now the United States is appealing that decision. However, economists say the labels are costing meat producers and shoppers, but are not increasing the demand for the product. According to research from Kansas State University, less than 1/3 of the public even knows about this law.
Time and time again, safety, taste, price, freshness tend to be attributes that, regardless of the meat product we're talking about, are highly ranking and important, and we find them driving, purchasing decisions. Things like origin, environmental impact, sustainability, things that I might call social issues, They matter and questions come up, but relative to that other bucket of things like safety, freshness, taste, price, they're nowhere near as important.
The World Trade Organization should have a decision in early 2015. In the meantime, the U.S. will continue using those labels. Bitter cold smacked Nebraska this last week, and many farmers and ranchers braved those elements to get the job done. NTV's Tanner Kaler layered up and spent a cold morning at one ranch near Miller.
The rancher I rode along with on this cold morning says he enjoys the cold. I couldn't believe it either, but Brock Elson of Miller, Nebraska told me he enjoys the winter cold more than the summer heat. He says as long as his equipment can work, so will he.
Personally, I'm a cold weather guy. I'd rather have it 30 below than 80 degrees any day.
Brock Elson may be one of the few people you'll ever hear say something like that. On this morning, temperatures on his ranch just south of Miller hover in the single digits. Combined with a biting breeze, it feels like it's as much as 20 degrees below zero on your face, fingers, and nose.
I dress warm. I buy well-insulated gloves, boots, and of course stocking hat. And as far as my machinery, I try to keep my machinery maintenance.
That's because Brock has work to do. Despite the cold, he zigzags across his farm breaking ice from the water tank, gathering hay, and feeding his cattle.
They each get a little bit different ration of hay, ground corn, to just maintain their energy during these cold days.
Brock, as well as other farmers and ranchers, may need to work outside, but the Buffalo County Extension Office warns anyone outdoors in these kind of temps needs to be cautious.
So we would want to make sure that they would dress in layers, eliminating exposed skin to these kinds of temperatures. Maybe taking more frequent breaks in and out of the tractor or in and out of the pickup.
I'm out here regardless usually because I care about my animals so much that it's I probably put myself in harm's way a little bit, and hopefully but I know when to shut down too.
And that's key. The Buffalo County Extension Office says most ranchers and farmers in the area are pretty well acclimated to the cold, but still encourage them and everyone else to take steps to prevent frostbite. The severe cold can stress livestock, and some parts of the country are dealing with cold temperatures they are not used to, such as in Kentucky. And here's some advice for producers when faced with those brutal cold temperatures, no matter where you are.
Livestock producers during these periods of extreme cold temperatures need to ensure that their beef cattle or livestock that are outside have access to some sort of windbreak, whether that's natural or man-made, to get them out of the wind. They need to ensure that their waters are not frozen, the livestock have access to plenty of water, and they need to adjust their daily feed supplement to increase the caloric intake. Ensure that the cattle or livestock stay dry to prevent any type of hypothermia and or frostbite.
That Arctic blast we experienced last week likely caused some winter kill damage to wheat. Agricultural meteorologist Don Keeney of MDA Weather Services said a third of the nation's wheat belt will likely be affected. Winter kill damage is anticipated as sub-zero temperatures hit eastern Nebraska, other Midwestern states, and 2 counties in northwestern Kansas may be affected. It is the International Year of Soils declared by the USDA. The idea is to focus on the importance of healthy soils for food security, ecosystem functions, and resilient farms and ranches. Ag Secretary Tom Vilsack says it's time more people realize what lies beneath our feet.
I think this International Year of the Soil is a wonderful opportunity to educate the young people of this country. A lot of people in this country just do not understand and appreciate the extraordinary treasure and asset that we have.
And it isn't all about education, it's also a call to action.
The American farmer and rancher, give them state-of-the-art equipment both above the surface to till the soils, to prescribe exact nutrients and manures and tillage practices on the surface, but it's also the time to retrofit and upgrade the physical and chemical properties below the soils.
NRCS wants to help landowners facing these impending challenges and maintain and improve their productivity with the use of soil management systems. This includes cover crops, conservation, tillage, and no-till, and crop rotations. NRCS will be showcasing the importance of soil with monthly themes, and you can check them all out on the NRCS website. Airspace is opening to allow monitoring crops from the sky. Some drone permits were being issued for agricultural use, and there is a current ban on commercial drone flights. But now the Federal Aviation Administration allowed an exemption to Advanced Aviation Solutions. The agency is under pressure from Congress, the drone industry, and companies that want to use drones to provide broader access to U.S. skies. Now, some new state senators have close ties with agriculture business. Meet one of them after the break and plan for the week ahead with your Grow forecast later in the show. Stick around.